Hello and good morning. It is Thursday, August 29th, and I am Jessica for Justice. I hope you guys are having a fabulous start to your day. Hello, Mike, Tash, Dizzy, Carrie. Appreciate y'all being here so early in the morning. I was debating not streaming today, but there's definitely something that happened yesterday that I think it's very important to share and get out there. So that's the only reason I am streaming. Uh, I am going to tell you guys another story real quick before we get started. So, like a month ago, my landlord sent. Sorry, I need to get the sleep out of my eyes. I woke up like an hour ago. Anyway, um, so the landlord had an inspector come. They checked everything. Everything was fine. They said that the AC needed some maintenance, that it's been a while. So she had an AC guy come and clean the coils and all this stuff. Well, we set, I think it was either an 8 or a 9 a.m. appointment. And he reached out to me in the morning and said he had to go pick up some tools and then he was going to come back into town. And I'm like, okay. And it was like 15 minutes before our appointment. So I thought he was going to be a little late. This man was 3 hours late. And a pet peeve of mine is people messing with my time. That is such a huge pet peeve. But I let it go. I let him do his thing. But he was being really weird about my dog. But that's fine. People are scared of dogs. So I kept my dog away from him. But I didn't one, I didn't like that he was late. And then, like, he had made a mess and didn't clean it up. And I told him the front hose doesn't work as well as the back hose. So then he pulled the hose from the back to the front to use it when he could have just taken the coil to the back. But anyway, so he left both of the hoses, like, not wrapped up, just right next to where they were. But that's not the worst of it. He asked me if I wanted to have children. He figured out that uh, kiddo isn't mine. And then he's like, "Oh, are you going to have kids? Are you going to have kids with him? Why don't you have children?" Sir, don't ask me that. Do not ask me that. Don't ask a woman. Oh, and he asked if I could have children. That was the cherry on top. Can you have children? Don't ever ask a woman if they can have children. Um, so that was exactly a month ago. So 2 days ago, I noticed that. So there's this other pipe that's in the back that if the drip pan is getting full, that's like the extra pipe for drainage. And when the inspector was here, he told me that if I see water coming out of that, that's a problem because that means that it's going to overflow. So I see that it's dripping 2 days ago, and we check the drip pan and it has like this much water in it. There's a ton of water in it, and this guy was just here a month ago. So my roommate's messing around with it, and he found tape that was stuck up in one of the pipes. So he pulled that out, and my landlord reached out to the guy that was here. I told her my concerns, that I was concerned that he did something because the AC has been fine up until he messed with it. So he told her that he was going to come sometime in the afternoon yesterday. At 4 o'clock, I told her I hadn't heard from him yet, so she texted him. And then he said, "Oh, I'll text you when I'm on my way." That man never showed up. And apparently, the person that recommended him to her said, "Oh, he does have time management issues, but other than that, he's good at what he does." Y'all, don't recommend someone to me that has time management issues. Like, if you can't be on time or somewhere within that range or just not show up, I don't know how you could have a successful business. I really don't. So I do not recommend doing that. Um, Yeah, so I even told my landlord I don't know how he has a successful business. So my AC is still leaking, and there's a whole bunch of water coming out the back. So I don't know, maybe someone will show up today. But she said she was going to call another company. If that guy shows up today, he's gonna he's gonna have it because like no, don't play with my time. I don't care if I'm not doing a damn thing. Do not play with my time. Like, that is one thing that sets me off. Don't make plans and then not show up. Don't be excessively late. Like, my time is important to me. That's one thing that you can't get back is time. But yeah, I was thinking of giving him a review too on on YouTube, on Google Words. All right, so I got a bunch of stuff today. I have a bunch of stuff every time because there's always a bunch of shit happening. But there is a story that is personal to me. Uh, I know this family. I'm very upset for them. Uh, there's been some hearings this week. Uh, okay, Dizzy, if it's the same guy, I'll wait until he's done to yell at him. But I don't think it's going to be the same guy because my landlord wasn't exactly thrilled either. Uh, oh, whoops, I accidentally added a video that I meant to put on my watch later list to this list. Doot, 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 doot. All right, so Arlene Alvarez. Arlene Alvarez was a 9-year-old girl that was shot and killed on Valentine's Day. Now, this family has been waiting years for justice. What happened was, as the family was driving to get pizza, and the little girl was in the back seat with her headphones on, and this guy was at the bank, and he got robbed for $20. And he decided that $20 was worth just firing in the direction that he thought the robber was, which the robber was not. He shot the truck that had Arlene's family in it, and Arlene. They had told Arlene to duck down, but she didn't hear them because of her headphones, and she was shot in the head and she died. And this family has been going through legal nightmare after legal nightmare trying to get justice. The first time they tried to indict him, they did not get an indictment. But then the family hired a private investigator and found new evidence and was able to get an indictment the second time. And this person, it's not like this is some good person that made a mistake. He also it has charges pending for domestic violence of his stepson. He pulled a gun on a child that is his wife's or girlfriend's child. This is not a good person. And there's a lot of really fishy things that are surrounding this case. Harris County is like the third or fourth largest county in the country, but everybody's connected when it comes to judges and lawyers and all this stuff. There's so much going on with this case that I can't get into, but I'm gonna share with you guys some of the stuff, and it's going to piss you off. So, oh, I forgot to play my little. So before we get into it, gotta let you guys know.
This program contains subject matter and language that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Viewer discretion is advised. Some of these stories may be upsetting. I do have some happy stories, funny stories, but I do, you know, want to warn y'all. And I'm proud of my little video there. I was watching a show that had it, and I was like, I'm going to record that because I need that too. Because unfortunately, there is a lot of not good things in this world. So I'm going to play two videos about this case. One of them is a few days old before the hearing that happened yesterday. And then the other one is after the hearing. I know I saved it. Hold on. I need like hold music apparently. Do 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 do. Okay, I found it. All right. right. So the first one, so the reason why there was even a hearing this week, the district attorney had put a special prosecutor uh, put a special prosecutor on the case, so it's not actually a prosecutor that works for the district attorney's office. They had put a special prosecutor for it, and the defense was filing a motion to get rid of the special prosecutor, saying that it was a political trick of the district attorney, but the district attorney did not win the nomination and will not be district attorney come December 31st. Yeah, Mike, I agree. I shouldn't need a warning. But I mean, have you seen hair dryers? They have warnings that they probably shouldn't have. So, all right. So, the story of Arlene Alvarez, and I know this family. I know April very well. April is the aunt, and April has been a fierce, outspoken advocate in Harris County. She's worked
Yeah,
very
she loves
closely.
sunflowers.
More than 2.5 years.
She's worked very closely with Jocelyn Nagiri's family. She is a very outspoken advocate, and that's one of the concerns that we have too in this case. Because I mean, we've all been very outspoken. I mean, honestly, if God forbid I got arrested, there's some judges I would definitely not want to go in front of because of some of the things that I've said and done. I mean, they deserved it, but doesn't mean that I want to go in front of them, you know? I don't think this is the layout I want. This one? No. This one? Maybe. No. You know, I do this every time, but I can't remember which one I was using. You know, we'll do this one. All right. So this is Arlene's mother.
Yeah, she loves sunflowers.
More than 2.5 years since this mom was left without her daughter.
My baby, I just miss her so much.
The fight for justice
I just feel like we're being bullied.
hitting another painful speed bump.
It's so sad that I'm mourning my daughter every day. This is our reality right here. This is our reality. For them, it's just a case. This is my life. She was my best friend. She was my baby.
Tony Earl's defense attorneys want Special Prosecutor Warren DeProm removed. He was appointed by DA Kim Ogg last February and in April secured a murder indictment in the 2022 shooting. In new court documents, the defense plans to argue he was hired to advance Ogg's personal political interests.
It gets me so upset on the daily that they think that it's political. Nothing political. You know, I lost my daughter. I want to prove that the way he killed my daughter was wrong.
Alvarez says it took hard work and new evidence for the case to be reopened.
He's my daughter's boy.
Special Prosecutor DeProm gave her family renewed hope.
It's justice.
She's still hopeful the case can continue to move forward so a Harris County jury can have the final say.
This is why we're still here. We're not giving up on her.
Yeah, so I'm gonna find a video, see if I can find a video of that recaps what actually happened before I play the next one. Because the next video is definitely going to piss you off. So this is just a quick little recap about Arlene. Hold on. Hold on. Pause. And then, yeah, the next video I'm going to play is going to be a little recap. And then the next video is about the judge, another Harris County judge that's going to make you really mad.
Family and friends of 9-year-old Arlene Alvarez gathered here today for a celebration of life. Today marks 2 years since Arlene was shot and killed while heading to a Valentine's Day dinner with her family. The gunman thought he was firing at a robbery suspect's vehicle. Tony Earls was charged with aggravated assault, but a Harris County grand jury ultimately decided not to indict him. But now Arlene's family feels they're getting closer to justice after the Harris County DA appointed a special prosecutor to investigate this case.
The moment that they told us, we lost it. We were so happy. We were so thankful that my daughter gets to receive her justice. It was wrong what he did.
And they hope that this leads to new charges against Earls.
Which it did. So the next video is about the motion that happened yesterday, and then we're going to talk about it for a second. Oh my God. Hold on. I gotta change screens. Do, 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 do. Yeah, I need hold music.
And a surprising development today in the murder case of 9-year-old Arlene Alvarez. The judge recused herself.
It came at the start of a hearing on whether a special prosecutor in the case should be removed. Troy Kless was in the courtroom and walks us through what happened.
Len, Mia, both the prosecutors and the defense surprised by the judge's decision. The judge didn't explain the move, but says that she didn't take the decision lightly and is leaving the Alvarez family incredibly frustrated.
I'm very mad. I'm very mad on how they're taking this case, my daughter's case, and we just want my daughter to receive justice, and the way they're bouncing around this case, it's so absurd.
Arlene Alvarez's mom, frustrated with another delay. Defense attorneys for Tony Earls, the man charged with killing Alvarez on Valentine's Day 2022, had filed a motion to remove Special Prosecutor Warren DeProm from the case. But before that motion could be discussed, Judge Colleen Guido voluntarily recused herself from the case, the judge only saying the decision saddens her, but she does not maintain any personal bias toward either side in the case.
I cannot answer what the judge's reasons were. She didn't tell us. But the statute has a shotgun approach and lists multiple factors when a judge should or is required to step down in the case.
The special prosecutor telling us he intends to stay on board in the case. Meanwhile, defense attorney Anthony Osso says they are discussing what to do with their motion now that the case is unassigned.
We had no doubt she could be fair and impartial to both sides, but she certainly has some concerns under 18B in the Code of Civil Statutes. So, it caught us off guard.
Meanwhile, Arlene's family feeling whiplash after another delay in the case, upset with the justice system today.
It's not fair. My daughter does not deserve this. And I know Earls, no little girl deserves to be treated the way she is.
It's unclear when a new judge could be appointed, but the special prosecutor says that he intends to continue pursuing justice for the Alvarez family. Troy Kless.
So, if you pull up the court records of this case, which I did yesterday, this judge knew that this was going to be in her courtroom since April. So, from April to before yesterday, you couldn't recuse yourself. Any time in between that, she could have recused herself and it could have been rescheduled. They also had a hearing on Monday. Monday was the first hearing. And then they couldn't come to an agreement on Monday, so she scheduled the other part on Wednesday. What happened between Monday and Wednesday that you decided to recuse yourself? And the 18B, I looked up the statute. It has to do with, if she knows any of the people, if she worked with any of the attorneys and stuff like that. So it's ridiculous so now this family has to wait for this case to get pushed back into the pool. And the next judge that is up to take the case is a judge that's going to be out of office the end of December. So I doubt that they would actually prosecute the case. If they get it, I don't expect it to end up on their docket until after they're gone. So this family waited 6 months, 5 months for this to go to court, and then the judge pulled that shit. Judge Colleen Guido, I need to know why you decided to wait to do this. This is the 337th court in Harris County. This is not okay. You saw the emotion. And I text April. April was the lady with the dark hair that was standing next to her sister. I texted her yesterday and I said, I just want to let you know that I'm thinking of you. And I am so sorry that you guys are going through this. Every time a family has to go into court, They had to be in the same room as the man that murdered this little girl and has not shown any remorse for what he's done. So the family had to build up to that, and then the court pulls this. It makes me so angry, and I just want to give them a hug. I love the Alvarez family. I love them so much. They are wonderful people, and the way that this has been handled when it's the murder of a 9-year-old girl, especially, is enraging. Good morning, Amanda. Good luck at the dentist. Hopefully, you have a better dentist than I went to. Apparently, I'm not having good luck with services lately. Um, between the dentist and the AC guy. I think Mercury was in retrograde or something like that. But from what I heard, it's done. I don't know. I don't pay attention to that stuff. But yeah. Alrighty. So we are going to move along. But yeah, I'm really upset about this. So if y'all want to ask the 337th Court, Judge Colleen Gallardo, why she decided to wait until the motion and the family was in court and all that rather than doing it before that, go for it. She's up for re-election, but sadly nobody is running against her, so she will absolutely be a judge again. So we are moving over to Los Angeles. There is a naked man terrorizing a community. He's naked. I guess it's better than violence, I guess. I don't know. I guess I would rather have a naked man than someone that attacks people. But I don't want nakedness either. All right. This one? This one. No. This one. Nope. Huh? No. Someday I'll figure it out. I feel like there's one missing. But anyway. So, the naked man.
Now to this, a naked man has been terrorizing residents in a mid-Wilshire neighborhood for months.
He appears at all hours of the day and night, screaming and committing lewd acts, and residents say they have had enough. Mary Beth McDade live in the mid-Wilshire neighborhood where she spoke to frightened residents. Mary Beth.
Yeah, Mike and Sharon can tell you that these residents are frustrated and fearful. They don't know what can be done to stop a naked man from living in their yards and touching himself inappropriately. They don't feel that their children or themselves should have to live like this. This naked homeless man has been terrorizing a mid-Wilshire neighborhood for several weeks. That's according to residents who witness him run around naked, screaming, and at times touch himself in a sexual manner.
Most nights he sleeps naked, and anywhere he can find access to someone's yard or stairwell, he will be naked and sometimes do not nice things when he's naked.
I've never felt intimidated by his presence, but when I woke up and saw him in my backyard, that's a little different when someone's on your property.
Residents who don't want us to use their names say the neighborhood is packed with children.
A lot of kids and a lot of lewd acts that it's not safe for anybody.
This neighborhood is filled with 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds, teenagers, and he's being found in the backyards, and the parents are very concerned.
This woman says at times he walks around with items that could be used as weapons.
There have been times he's been found with a weapon, like he was arrested a few weeks ago with a taser. 2 days ago, he was walking around with a golf club.
She says she chased him away from her property on Saturday night.
Get out of here! My daughter, she's 16 years old with 3 friends. She walked in the door at 11 o'clock, and at 11:30, he was naked on my front stoop.
Then on Sunday, the man reportedly identified as 51-year-old Dushan Barnett was apparently arrested for allegedly stealing clothes, towels, and camper parts from a resident. But many anticipate he'll be back soon. Neighbors would like to see him removed from their neighborhood and get the mental help they believe that he needs.
He gets released to wait for the trial. He doesn't show up for the trial because he's not competent, and then he comes back into this neighborhood, and most of us are feeling a little on edge.
And several residents tell me that they believe that this man at one point lived in this neighborhood, and that's why he keeps coming back here, because he feels comfortable here. For now, reporting live in Middle.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the justice system. Yes, Tash, I know you sent me a reminder, but I got sidetracked. Now this mouse is completely dead, but I have a laptop so I can use. I have batteries downstairs. I just need to get them downstairs. I don't go up and down the stairs unless I absolutely have to. Um, I don't know if you guys remember when I mentioned falling when I was at CrimeCon, and I fell very hard. And my knee has progressively gotten worse. I have gotten 3 different x-rays done. I am now being referred to an orthopedic surgeon so we can get MRIs and see what's torn. There's something really wrong with my knee, and my bedroom is upstairs. So I don't go up and down the stairs unless I absolutely have to, and I do it very carefully. So yeah, that's fun. So someday I will remember to bring the batteries back upstairs. Because when I'm done with this, I'm going downstairs and I don't plan on coming back up until I go to bed. Yeah, so that's fun. I am very likely going to have knee surgery because my kneecap is like not in the right place and there's stuff pulling in my knee. It's very painful, actually. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say my knee is consistently a 6, sometimes an 8, depending on what is happening. So, but I saw my primary, and now I finally have been referred to an orthopedic, so that's fun. That's good. But I did find out, some good news is that I found out that something that I was concerned about with I was worried that something could potentially be skin cancer, and I'm very paranoid about skin cancer since my mom died from skin cancer. But no, it's fine. It's just scarring. And I was a little embarrassed when I was so worried about it, but I'm glad that it was nothing. But yeah, anyway, moving along. Yeah, so that's the issue with mental health and the system. Like, clearly this man needs mental health help. Clearly there's something wrong. He shouldn't keep being catched and released because it's not safe for him and it's not safe for the neighborhood. Like, obviously he needs mental health help, and catching and releasing is not helping anybody. So the next stories, I'm going to move to the Dallas area. There was an assistant principal that had their eye knocked out by a student, which is terrifying.
On Thursday, August 15th, during lunch, I heard our behavioral teacher call on the radio to administrators for assistance. When I arrived, the teacher and students were outside the classroom. One student was holding his head, having been assaulted by the student remaining in the classroom. I entered where the student was still irate and found the room ransacked with overturned furniture. I knew I had to be as calm as possible, and I spoke lowly and slowly so as not to enrage him any further. He picked up a chair and acted as if he would throw it. He finally did throw it at me, but I caught it midair. He picked up another chair to throw at me when another assistant principal entered the room. I used the first chair to block the second. He picked up a third and threw it at the other assistant principal. And I used that initial chair to block the one that he threw at her. After blocking the chair thrown at the other assistant principal, he threw a wooden hanger at me, but I couldn't stop it fast enough. The hanger hit me in my right eye and knocked it out of the socket. I grabbed my face while blood was pouring out of my head and stumbled out of the classroom door. The nurse and 911 were called. I asked for my cell phone to call my husband to come get me, not realizing the extent of the damage. When paramedics arrived, they determined I would need to be airlifted to Parkland Medical Center in Dallas. I underwent surgery as soon as possible, and doctors were able to reinsert my eye. However, they determined I had been blinded and currently believe that my damage is permanent. I will have to have an additional surgery to repair my eyelid because doctors are believing, oh, I'm so sorry. I underwent surgery as soon as possible and doctors were able to reinsert my eye. However, they determined that I've been blinded and they currently believe that my damage is permanent. I will have to have an additional surgery to repair my eyelid. And because doctors are believing my blindness to be permanent, removing my eye may have to be an option.
No teacher or administrator should have to do that or have to go through that. So Corsica, I might be saying that wrong. Let's see, I'm trying to figure out what kind of school they were in, because if it was like one of those schools where they send the unruly bad kids, then okay. But if not, why is there a student like this in a normal school? Yeah, it just says the school district. Oh, wait. Found it. Intermediate school. Isn't that middle school? Is that middle school? Yeah, that's a middle school. That's a middle school, guys. That's terrifying. That somebody in middle school did that to somebody. That's horrible. This poor woman. There definitely needs to be anybody out there that is in education, teachers, I feel for you. I couldn't do it, especially with how things are nowadays. I couldn't do it, and I applaud you for doing it, especially in this day and age where it seems that a lot of people don't take accountability for what their kids are doing. Your brother teaches in San Antonio. Well, tell me which school. I'll buy him lunch. I'll bring him a hazard lunch. So another story. Oh, I need to burp. Another story coming out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So they are looking for suspects after a man was found dead and abducted teens were found safe. So they were looking for the suspects. I saved this video yesterday, so hopefully they found them, but probably not.
Police in Farmers Branch are trying to put together a bizarre set of circumstances involving kidnapping and murder.
Oh.
Good evening. I'm Clarice Tinsley. Detectives say a 33-year-old man and 2 teens were kidnapped in Dallas. The man's body was found on Valley View Lane in Farmers Branch Saturday. The teens were 10 miles away in Louisville walking on the I-35 service road. Fox 4 Stephen Dial joins us with more on what police are saying about what happened. Stephen.
Investigators held a press conference hours ago and still a lot of unanswered questions. One thing we did learn today is that adult victim was shot in the head and left on the side of the road. Farmers Branch investigators say a 33-year-old man and 2 teens were coming back from a party around 12:30 a.m. Saturday. Police say they were inside a black Toyota 4Runner when they were abducted by 2 Hispanic men at an apartment complex on Fair Oaks Crossing in Dallas.
Then they were switched into a light-colored 4-door sedan. After that, they were driven to Farmers Branch, where the victim was shot, and he later died. The 2 juveniles were then transported up to Louisville at I-35 and Corporate, where they were let out of the vehicle. The adult victim was shot in the head at the 1100 block of Valley View Lane in Farmers Branch. The teens were spotted about 10 miles away along I-35 in Louisville around 3:40 a.m. Saturday. They are cooperating with us. I'm not at liberty to tell you what they told us. The Toyota 4Runner was dumped in yet another location, Greenville, about 50 miles northeast of Dallas. In all, police are looking for 3 suspects, all Hispanic men, but police do not have a better description yet. Police do not believe the adult victim was associated with any gang. They also did not say if any of the victims knew any of their abductors. Investigators are asking if anyone saw anything. I feel we're on the right track, but there are a lot of questions that we still need answers to.
Again, we asked a lot of questions today, and we got a lot of I can't answer that. Again, they only gave us the description of a light color or beige 4-door sedan. There's a lot of those in North Texas, so hopefully when they get some images, we'll be able to share those with you guys.
All right, major questions still left.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where there's a story and then there's like no description of who they're looking for. Let me see. Let me Google it and see if there's any updates. Farmers Branch suspects. Nope, still searching for 3 suspects. It expands to 4 Texas cities. Let's see what this story says. I wish that they would have said more of that in the video. Go away, pop up. I'm trying to read. So, no, okay. Go away. I don't want notifications. Oh my gosh. Let's see. So it started at their video. Oh, okay. There's another video. Hold on. This video has more information. Yeah, because all right, play.
Farmers Branch police tell us they've launched an investigation after a man from North Texas was abducted and then killed. On Saturday, a man's body was found near Sam Houston Trail Park on Valley View Lane, and police just shared an update on the investigation. They believe it all started in Dallas, and that's where Brittany Moncrief joins us live with an update on what she's learned.
That's right, Chris. Police tell us that this is very much still an ongoing investigation with many moving parts. As you mentioned, starting here in Dallas, we're along Fair Oaks Crossing Drive, where police say on Saturday around 12:30 in the morning, 3 people were kidnapped from an apartment complex in this area. Now, Farmers Branch police tell us that 33-year-old Nazuli Arnold Petit was coming back from a party with 2 teenagers. There were at least 2 other people in the car with them who police say took over the car and kidnapped Petit and the teens. Now, investigators say the suspect switched vehicles from this black Toyota 4Runner to a light-colored 4-door sedan. After switching vehicles, authorities say the suspect drove to Farmers Branch, where they shot and killed Petit between 3 and 3:40 a.m. before driving to Louisville. There, Louisville police spotted the 2 teens walking along the I-35 and Clifford Service Road, but no sight of the suspects. Police say the teens were medically cleared and have been cooperating with investigators.
Well, it's definitely unusual and it's definitely disturbing. Every little bit we get with this investigation helps.
Now, police were able to find that 4Runner in Greenville, but they're still looking for those 3 suspects, the 2 involved in the kidnapping and the 3rd who helped in switching the car. Now, as you can imagine, there's still a lot of unanswered questions, like what's the relationship between the victims and the suspects, and whether or not there's any other criminal activity involved. At this time, police believe that this incident is isolated, and they're asking anyone who might have seen those teens get dropped off or might have spotted that four-door sedan to contact Farmers Branch Police. In Dallas, I'm Brittany Moncrief.
A Timberwolves legend
No.
weighs
Go
in
away. Goodbye.
on today's.
No. Yeah, it's a very weird story. I hope that they find the suspects for sure. All right, so Alabama had a sex trafficking sting, and they caught 11 suspects, or 11 arrests. They had 11 arrests. So we will share this story so everybody can see their faces. Oh my God. Hold on. Ooh. Pause. Oh my gosh, YouTube. Hey Brandy, good morning. Yeah, I agree. Something is not right, Jamie. Here we go. Now, and one of the people arrested was a state trooper, which is terrifying.
According to a new FBI report, the South has the highest number of sex trafficking cases. A former Alabama state trooper was one of many people arrested by the Montgomery County Sheriff during a sting operation.
The sheriff's office says Rhodes was arrested for the electronic solicitation of a child. They say he was belligerent and resisted arrest.
We don't have to pull up in a free candy van. They'll steal your kid's mind and talk your kid right out of your house. That's kind of the thing that you need to be cognizant of.
Jarrett Hudson is the CEO of the Covenant Rescue Group. He helped the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office carry out their sting operation. Hudson says this is not just an issue in Montgomery.
There were 11 felony arrests made. So if that doesn't show you the prevalence, I guess, of child exploitation or human trafficking in particular through child exploitation, then I don't know what does.
When it comes to signs of trafficking, Hudson says to look out for changes in behavior.
But what we can do is we can keep an eye on those who are within our sphere of influence. So when I know the family, when I know my kids, that is the easiest thing to look out for.
The sheriff's office says the investigation was carried out through decoy work and no children were harmed.
The message today to you should be that you should see what's going on around our state. We in law enforcement are sick and tired of it, and we're putting an end to it.
Patricia McKay is the chair of the North Alabama Human Trafficking Task Force. She says trafficking is taking place in our communities and parents should stay involved with their children.
Parents need to monitor their kids' activity, what they're doing. Online recruitment is having an uptick.
Hudson says Facebook is the largest platform that is used to target children.
There had to be 50 of us.
Why did y'all show the mugshots in the preview, but then didn't show it? Anyway, yeah, so there's so the South, it makes sense that the South is the highest rate of sex trafficking. I know that Texas and Florida and California are pretty bad. Houston, San Antonio, Miami. There's a Montgomery County in Texas too. I used to live there. That's where I lived. So I don't live there anymore. But yeah, there's tons of Montgomery counties and it's so confusing. I wish that they would come up with different names. There's a lot of stuff named after Robert E. Lee. And then in Texas, there's a ton of stuff with Houston. And this story is in Colorado.
But yes, within 3 minutes, we had located the body.
Conducting a search party is not how Bruce Boynton, the owner of Pickaxe Pizza in Idaho Springs, would normally spend his Saturday morning.
customers would have been in here enjoying music and pizza and maybe a cold beer. But we had more important things to do this morning.
It's been 3 days since he reported his friend Paul Peavy missing. Earlier this week, he went up to Paul's property, and things were not normal.
His puppies are missing. His equipment's missing. Anything of value is gone.
Bruce said Paul was a breeder, and 13 of his puppies were missing from his home. Clear Creek Sheriff's Office said they sent a deputy to search the property on Thursday, but didn't find any bodies.
If the situation and the information we learned that a person was endangered, certainly we would have a larger team here, but that was not the information that we received.
After getting no answers from law enforcement, Bruce knew he had to do something for his friend.
We had talked and we decided, let's go search the property.
They went up there on Saturday morning. Within minutes, they found Paul.
Tossed over the hill and covered up with sticks, stones, and debris. Nothing that anyone wants to see in their life.
After the discovery, Bruce had everyone from the search party at his restaurant.
I guess you can consider this a wake at this point.
Saying this isn't how they should have spent their Saturday.
It sucks that we had to go find our friend. It's something that you think that the authorities would have taken care of.
The Clear Creek County Sheriff's Office said they are now investigating this death as a homicide, but currently there is no threat to the public. Reporting in Idaho Springs, Rhea Jha, 9 News.
Thanks for watching.
What kind of puppies? Where are the puppies? What kind of puppies? That's could be a motive. French bulldogs are stolen quite often. I know that we talk about road rage a lot. Road rage, parking lot rage, any kind of rage that has to do with a car. I have 2 stories of road rage today. One of them is somebody recorded another person going ballistic over a parking spot, and then another person that was arrested for road rage but then got early release and the community's upset about it. Congratulations, Mike. I would not get that high on a practice test for math. Definitely not. So yeah, if somebody steals your parking space, it's not worth it. It doesn't matter if you're right. Just let it go the other way.
Tonight, a man is telling us what started out as a minor dispute over a parking spot got way out of hand.
He says another driver slashed his tire and he caught the whole thing on camera. But as Maria Aguilera explains, police are having a tough time finding the man.
I've never seen this man. I tried to de-escalate, saying, my bad, dude.
Ivan Sanchez says he was just pulling up for work on Monday when a stranger pulled up in front of him.
Comes in front of me and just starts yelling at me right here.
Confused. That's what Sanchez says he was feeling as the man began yelling racial slurs at him.
When he started threatening my life and my property, I pulled out my phone.
He got away from the man and he caught the rest of the encounter on video, where you can see a man get out of a white truck and walk over to his car.
This is where I felt like I was in danger too, because he could have. Is he running towards me or is he running towards the car?
Yelling for
right
security.
Here, security.
As he says, the man attempted to slash his tires. Sanchez says it was all over a parking space. This is the parking space Ivan Sanchez says he has been using for the past 3 years, coming to work at this building almost every day, never causing him a problem, except that changed on Monday.
He took my effing parking space. I'm like, wait, this is not. You office here too?
He says the man claimed he took his parking space and became aggressive.
It's just so rare for someone to act so crazy all of a sudden.
Sanchez filed a police report and wants to press charges.
What was it? Right here?
Despite the attempt to cause damage, his tire was only left with a minor scrape, still able to drive on it. But he still can't believe that interaction over something so trivial.
With all passion, just lifted his hand and tried to stab it, flicks me off, gets it back in his car, and takes off. All for what? Just makes no sense.
Maria Aguilera, KHOU 11 News.
Sir,
tonight
you need to replace that tire.
Then outrage and fear tonight after a notorious.
Yeah, don't. If you have any sidewall damage, yeah, you need a new tire. I wouldn't trust a tire that has any damage to the sidewall. Uh, no, no, thank you. And he says it's very rare that people do that. It's not. It's not rare at all. I promise you. We know this from all the stuff that we've been watching. Uh, yeah. So yeah, in California, they did an early release, which is also consistently becoming an issue. Early release. I hate early release, especially for for violent crimes. I don't like early release for violent crimes at all.
Then outrage and fear tonight after a notorious road rage convict is released from prison after serving only a fraction of his sentence.
His victims spoke up today to say they have lost their faith in the justice system. Chris Wolf, live from the News Center with reaction to the controversial news. Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Micah and Cher. Reports say he has a long criminal history spanning nearly 2 decades and stretching across 8 different states. But credit for time served and good behavior means he gets out of prison early here in California. Victims of his violent road rage are now furious, and they fear he may try to hurt them again.
Hey Siri, call 911.
You may remember the viral road rage clips. A muscular young man in t-shirt and jeans exploding on the freeways of Southern California, jumping out of his car and smashing others with what appears to be a pipe. The violence caught on dashboard and cell phone cameras. 36-year-old Nathaniel Radamak was finally caught and convicted of criminal threats, vandalism, assault, and elder abuse. Nicknamed the Tesla road rage driver, a judge sentenced Radamak in October 2023 to 5 years in prison. But in a surprising turn of events, he is now free 10 months later.
I am worried he will try to find the victims whose names have been released. He is a menace to society, and I strongly disagree about his early release.
Victims spoke out during a news conference with their attorney, Gloria Allred. They do not want to be identified.
I'm here today to share with you my deep frustration and loss of faith in our justice system.
Court records show Radamak was given credit for time served and good behavior. Attorney Allred sees a major red flag with his release notice.
It says that the community to which he is being released is unknown. So my question is, how can they supervise his parole if they don't know where he's going to be?
The communication with the DA's office has been poor throughout this process. The sentence was cut short.
Lenient sentencing and closing jails and early parole releases and parole boards continue to allow perpetrators to walk free after serving just minimal time, putting a lot of innocent people at risk and sending criminals the wrong message.
The district attorney's office sent us a statement, quote, "Our thoughts are with the survivors who endured the terrifying attacks by Mr. Radamak and are continuing to heal from his senseless actions." The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office does not determine when an inmate will be released from custody. This, as well as the notification of victims, is the responsibility of the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Attorney Gloria Allred says this Tesla road rage case demonstrates the need for truth in sentencing laws.
Yep. Yep. Everything that lady said. Early release is a huge problem, especially when there's somebody that's violent. You're telling them that if they do something horrible, they're only going to serve this much of their sentence. And I personally hate early release programs. Dizzy mentioned that, California just passed a new law that the elderly convicts get paroled. I would be okay with that in some cases, maybe if they were sentenced to life for drug trafficking or something like that. But if you committed homicide, if you took somebody's life, or you're a violent rapist, child molester, whatever you're sentenced should be your sentence with no should not be allowed to have any changes. And that's why I say I'm pro death penalty, and it has absolutely nothing to do with them actually being put to death. It has to do with these early release laws. If somebody's on death row, they can't get early release if the law changes. This has been an issue over and over and over again in a lot of states. Texas had that happen in the 70s. So, Tash, something that I just saw on the internet, that somebody had a bat and they said if you use a bat for home defense or defense, put a sock on top of it. Because when you go to use it and the person tries to grab the bat, they're not going to be able to grab the bat. They're going to have a sock. So, Tash, tell your husband to put a sock on his bat. But yeah, early release is just horrible. It's a slap in the face to victims. And the fact that this man was sentenced to 5 years and served only 10 months is ridiculous. Let me see. So elderly parole, they have to have served a significant portion of their sentence and considered to pose a low risk to public safety. Gypsy Rose, I'm not going to get into a debate with that, but Gypsy Rose is a bit of a different situation. But I don't agree with, or even if they're terminally ill, have 6 months to live, compassionate release. I don't care. If you took somebody's life, why should you get to go spend the last few years of your life with your family? You didn't give the same to them. Like, they died violently with the murderer. So no, I don't agree. I'm like I said, I'm fine with it if it's like drug trafficking or something like that, but any violent crime, absolutely not. Because they have to be after reaching age 50 and being continuously incarcerated for 20 years. After 50, people can still do horrible things just because they're over 50. 50 is not even elderly. Yeah, that's not elderly. 65 is when you get Social Security, so that would be elderly. So it says, depending on person's conviction and sentence, they may be eligible for elderly parole after being incarcerated for at least 20 years, reaching 50 years of age, or being incarcerated at least 25 years and reaching 60 years of age. That doesn't, okay. That doesn't. Unless they are sentenced to death or life without the possibility of parole. Life without the possibility of parole, the without the possibility is an important part there. So, unfortunately, we need to make sure that people, when people are sentenced to life, they have to throw in the without possibility of parole, or they could be released. So the only way that they're not eligible is, 1, if they're sentenced to death, 2, which California doesn't have the death penalty, sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, 3, persons sentenced under California's strike laws for a second or third strike. I'm not sure I believe that. And then number 4, persons convicted of first-degree murder of a peace officer. So if they murder a police officer, they don't get out. But if they murder a civilian, then they can be let out. That's ridiculous. Someone's job doesn't make them more or less important. If you guys wanted to look more into California's elderly parole laws, There you go. I just shared the link in there. A lot of states are doing it. This is why we need to pay attention to the laws and stuff that are being passed. So a worker at Wells Fargo was found dead at their desk, but they were dead for 4 days before somebody noticed.
A Tempe Wells Fargo employee died at her desk. And 12 News is now confirming that it may have taken as many as 4 days for anyone in the office to notice. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. It's a story we first reported yesterday. Tonight, Tempe police are confirming the timeline of when the woman clocked in to when her colleagues found the body. 12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra is in the studio with new details tonight. Gabby, 4 days. I mean, this poor woman went 4 days undiscovered. It's hard to believe.
And that's a question many employees are asking themselves tonight. I spoke with an employee who said that she shared her perspective on the workplace environment, and they say it's a big building, but most people don't work there on a daily basis. A Wells Fargo employee went to work the morning of Friday, August 16th and never went home. Tempe police tell 12 News 60-year-old Denise Prudhomme scanned into work at 7 o'clock in the morning. 4 days later, police responded to the office building near Washington Street and Priest Drive for reports of a subject down. Prudhomme was declared dead. The Tempe Police Criminal Investigation Bureau is investigating, but do not suspect foul play. A Wells Fargo employee exclusively spoke with 12 News, but asked not to be recorded or identified out of fear for their job. They say a colleague found Prudhomme dead at her desk in a cubicle while walking around the building on Tuesday, August 20th. Prudhomme's cubicle was reportedly on the 3rd floor and away from the main aisle. This employee says several people had smelled a foul odor, but passed it off as faulty plumbing. They say while most Wells Fargo employees at this Tempe location work remote, the building has 24/7 security, and someone should have found Prudhomme sooner. The incident left several employees feeling scared and uneasy. This employee wants to see new safety protocols in place, telling me, quote, "It's negligence in some part." A different worker also spoke with 12 News anonymously.
It was just uncomfortable.
Again, calling on the company to do more.
Body was there about 4 days before anybody found it, before anybody walked up to her and just to say hi, make sure she's okay. She was just laying on her desk.
A Wells Fargo spokesperson previously sent 12 News a statement saying, in part, "We are deeply saddened by the tragic loss of our colleague at our Tempe office," adding counselors through our employee assistance consulting service are available to support employees. An employee tells me their direct management offered those services, addressed the incident, and told workers the building was thoroughly cleaned. And a Wells Fargo spokesperson did not have new information to share with me tonight. The Maricopa County Medical Examiner is investigating the cause of death.
Yeah, that's scary that nobody noticed for 4 days. She might not have had family. Like, there's not one person in my family that checks on me. So, because both my parents are gone, I don't have any siblings. The closest living relative that I have is an aunt and an uncle that I don't really talk to, and some cousins. So I don't have any family that would know. So that's why I share my location with multiple people, and I have a roommate. I have a roommate because if something, I don't want anything to happen to me, or if something happens to me, I want my animals to be okay. I want somebody to care, you know. I hope she doesn't have pets. It's horrible, but it's also horrible that nobody noticed for 4 days. And to me, the smells are very different. But I mean, decomposition versus sewer are much different smells. But regardless. So back to California, in a high school, a student was beaten in the locker room by other parents. People getting involved in kid fights is wild to me. I mean, I get it. You want to protect your kid, but beating up somebody else's child is definitely not the answer. Let me pause this. Don't do it. Pause. Okay. So it was in Dublin High School that this happened at. That's not, maybe this one. Okay.
One piece of peach cobbler at a time, Cherie Barfield is working to keep her restaurant afloat while her 14-year-old son recovers at home.
This week I said I'm going to try to recover and reset, and it's just so much. We really need to be close at this moment.
His well-being threatened after he was attacked in the boys' locker room at Dublin High School last Friday afternoon.
His blood was everywhere, all over the floor, and he was sitting on a bench in front of his locker, and he was just screaming at the top of his lungs, "Nobody help me! How could 4 adults attack me, 5 adults?"
She says her son was first confronted by a Dublin High School mother with her daughter. Dublin Police Services say the boy ran into the locker room, but was followed by 4 masked suspects believed to be between 16 and 19 years old. All were wearing hoodies.
It started initially with one-on-one. The guy sucker punched my son and broke his nose while he was sitting down looking at his phone, and then my son got up to fight back, and then they all jumped him.
The football coach and other students broke up the fight. Her son was taken to the hospital with a concussion, a broken nose, and a black eye. He won't play in Friday's first football game of the season because of his injuries.
I want everybody to know that my son was mistaken identity. It wasn't even my son that they wanted, but one of his friends.
Police say this isn't a random incident, but no arrests have been made. School resource officers are still investigating. And Barfield is making calls for unity. Her restaurant, Cherie's Southern Kitchen, will now host a unity prayer brunch on Sunday, with proceeds going directly back to the Dublin Unified School District's sports program.
Because we want to ensure that our students are safe. And locking the door in the back is not the answer. So if we can give them enough money to where they can hire full-time staff to be on site and present so this doesn't happen to anybody's child ever again, I will continue to raise as much money as I can.
The district did not respond to our request for comment. In Dublin, Lena Howland, ABC 7 News.
That food looks good. If I was in California, I would definitely go there and eat because that looks amazing. So yeah, the thing, how did another adult and 4 other people get into this school to be able to access her son? That's terrifying, because what if it was something else? What if it was somebody with a weapon? And why can't people just fight? You know? Why can't people just fight one-on-one instead of jumping people or using weapons and stuff like that? It's like nobody will just fight, or what is it, catch a fade, whatever. Do that. Go back to that. And it wasn't even the right person. That's the worst part. Y'all beat up an innocent person that had nothing to do with anything. And also, you know, why are you beating up boys for your daughter? What happened there? Carrie said, a boy smacked my daughter at school for no reason the other day. And I didn't go to the school and beat him up. Yeah, it pisses you off, yeah. I got suspended when I was in school because I slapped a guy, but he had been harassing me and called me some names and stuff like that. So I slapped him. And my mom had gone to the administration about him, and the administration had done nothing up to this point. So they suspended me for 3 days, but then my mom went to the school and raised hell, and it got removed from my school record. But, you know, normally I would say keep your hands to yourself. But, yeah, that poor kid. That's horrible. And, yeah, they definitely need more security, because that's terrifying that somebody was able to do that. So, a student from Nepal was found shot in their apartment, and there is a suspect that they are looking for in this case. Oh wait, no, never mind. He is in custody. That was the other video I saw. They were looking for him, and then this is the update. So they have caught the suspect. That's good.
Breaking news, we just confirmed that a suspect has been arrested in connection with the death of a 21-year-old student from Nepal. She was found shot to death in her Southwest Houston apartment. We want to thank you for joining us tonight at 10. I'm Keith Garvin.
Good evening. I'm Daniela Guzman. We want to get right to KPRC2's Bryce Newberry. He is live at the HPD substation with this breaking news. And Bryce, a source confirming this arrest to you just minutes ago.
That's right, Daniela. Keith, that update coming in just in the last 10 minutes after I spoke with Muna Pandey's friends earlier this evening. They, of course, are devastated. They tell me that she is an only child here in Houston to earn an education. She does not have any immediate family in the United States. And again, just in the last 10 minutes, Houston police have confirmed with me they arrested that suspect connected to her murder on a traffic stop earlier this evening, just hours after they released a surveillance image of him. Muna Pandey came to the United States in 2021 with big dreams and just her suitcases. The 21-year-old from Nepal wanted to become a travel nurse and work hard enough to someday bring her mom to visit.
What I really admire about her is she came here alone to America, built herself a life. She always believed in herself. She always had the confidence that she can do it.
Her friends, speaking only with KPRC2, are scared to reveal their identities and shocked that she's suddenly gone.
I didn't believe it because I was like, there's no way, I just can't imagine something happening to her.
Houston police got called to the reserve at 6363 Apartments in Southwest Houston after staff got an anonymous call reporting a body inside the unit. Monday evening, investigators found Pandey dead, shot multiple times, and released this surveillance video of a man they now call a suspect, seen walking out of her apartment, time-stamped just before 10 Saturday night, after friends say they stopped hearing from her.
For it to happen in her home, it's just, it's just hard to describe.
Outside her front door, this friend brought flowers to a growing memorial with a message that reads, "Fly high, sweet girl."
Nobody's gonna forget her. Nobody can forget her. She just had that type of personality.
Friends say they don't recognize the man.
I can't even imagine or wrap my head around what she went through when she saw a man with a gun. And
they describe her as cautious about sharing her address even with friends.
The pain I'm going through is nothing compared to what she went through.
And wish they could have more time, more laughs, and more memories to see her dreams come true. And police tell me that after they released those surveillance images of the suspect, some calls came into the department. They were then able to match that info with some of the information that they had already put together, as well as with the surveillance that they had. Detectives tell me that suspect is being questioned right now. As for the friends of Pandey, they tell me that their focus now is on helping her mother, some more than 8,000 miles away. She needs an emergency visa to get here to the U.S. to continue fighting for justice for her daughter. We're live in Southwest Houston. I'm Brian.
I guess we will find out more with that beautiful young woman. Absolutely stunning. She looks like, I think, what Kylie Jenner is trying to do, She looks like that naturally, I think, because she's 21, but yeah. It's so sad, and she was absolutely beautiful. And I mean, they don't know why. They don't know why. They don't have a motive. I'm going to look and see if they updated anything. I doubt that the police would release information that quickly. No, there's no update other than that. I'm gonna keep an eye on this case and see once they release the motive. And that's weird that they haven't. Well, I guess they're not saying the guy's name because he hasn't officially been charged. So, anyway. So in Arizona, an HOA is fining people for giving out water. Aren't HOAs fun?
David Martin works out of his garage making one-of-a-kind sneakers. But it's what he's doing on his driveway that's creating a bit of controversy in his Goodyear neighborhood.
I don't feel that I'm doing anything wrong. I think I'm doing what we're supposed to do, which is taking care of people around us.
4 years ago, during the COVID crisis, Martin and his wife set up a free water stand in front of their house as a goodwill gesture.
What's up, Larry? Hey, Dave.
Inviting neighbors, kids, and delivery drivers to stop by every day to grab a cold one.
What do you think about David giving out free water?
I think it's fantastic. I figured what better way to be an asset to the community than cold water.
The free water stand was such a hit, the Martins kept it going.
Thank you.
Stocking up on water while paying for most of it out of their own pocket. Some neighbors have also stepped up to help.
Every year, I'm sure I get about 30 or 40 flats of water. Sometimes I open the front door and there's 2 flats. I don't know who dropped them off. It's just a surprise and it's fun.
But the goodwill gesture appears to have hit a snag. Back in May, the Martins received a notice from FS Residential, the management company that oversees the Canyon Trails Homeowners Association. The Martins were cited for storing items in plain view and were fined $50. The fines were increased to $100 a month in June, July, and August.
It's absolutely asinine. I don't understand. I'm sorry. I don't care that it's blue and gray and my house is tan and brown. It's a water cooler with cold water for the community.
Martin tells us he was contacted by his HOA a couple years ago and was under the impression it was okay to have the water stand. What he wants to know now is, why is this an issue again after all these years?
I just don't understand what fight they have, why they want to fight, because I've made it very, very clear I'm not stepping away. I'm not putting the cooler away.
Arizona's family has reached out to the HOA and management company and asked them to explain their position and whether there could be some type of resolution, but we have not heard back. Martin says even if the fines continue to climb,
what's up, Sean?
He won't stop giving out free water.
I'm going to continue to take care of the community in the best way I can.
It's still unclear why the HOA decided to make the free water stand an issue again after all these years. You can bet we will stay on top of this story and let you know what happens.
Somebody at the HOA is bored. That's for sure. I live in an HOA, but they're not very strict at all. I've never heard of anybody actually getting a fine here. I think HOAs are ridiculous. They shouldn't exist. Like here, they're supposed to keep everything nice looking and all that, but you just pay money for it. Like where I live, nobody pays attention to people's lawn heights and things like that, which I mean is good. But the point of having an HOA is to keep things looking nice, and they don't even do that here. I'm trying to get... I have a bus stop in front of my house, and I'm looking at benches to put in my front yard for the kids because they're so good, and I never hear them ever. And they're just standing around and sitting on the sidewalk and things like that. So somebody had said, if you're in an HOA, you might not be able to do that, but my HOA doesn't care. My neighbors that are next to me across the street, I noticed the other day they have a little bench that's not even in their yard. It's like almost on the curb, that little patch of grass that's between the sidewalk and the street. They have a bench there. So if they can have that, I'm sure I can put a bench in my own yard in front of the sidewalk. So if you guys see any deals on benches, let me know. I'm trying to get a wooden one because I'm in Texas. I can't get anything metal because I'm not trying to burn the children. Yeah, so and I'm looking for something that's like longer, like 63 inches or more, so that way multiple kids can sit on it. So if you guys see any deals on that, let me know. I've been looking and they're about $100, $130. So I need some deals. Send me some deals. All right, so we are going to move on to safety. So there has been some reporting with issues with deli meat, and there's been a travel warning given for Mexico. Don't go to Mexico. Don't eat deli meat, especially boar's head.
This is the worst outbreak of listeria in 13 years. 57 people hospitalized, 9 people dead, including 6 since the last update earlier this month. 1 from Florida, Tennessee, New Mexico, New York, and 2 people from South Carolina. Originally linked to Boar's Head Strasburger brand liverwurst, the recall now involves 7 million pounds of meat produced at Boar's Head's Jarrett, Virginia factory. The products have either EST 12612 or P-12612 inside the USDA mark of inspection on product labels. If you have these meats, the CDC says throw them away.
Listeria is a serious infection. It's the most deadly form of food poisoning.
In a statement today, Boar's Head said it regrets the impact of this recall, and it's conducting an extensive investigation with leading food safety experts. The CDC says listeria is a hardy germ. It can linger on surfaces like meat slicers and foods, even when refrigerated. Symptoms can appear the same day or up to 10 weeks later. The symptoms include headache, confusion, and convulsions, along with fever and muscle aches.
All right, Ann joins us now in studio. So, Ann, who's at most risk for listeria infections?
Tom, there are 3 groups. First of all, pregnant women, anybody who's over the age of 65, and anyone who is immunocompromised. If you fall in those categories, please do not eat meat that is sliced at deli counters unless it's been heated or steamed before it's served.
Thanks for watching.
So now I gotta steam my deli meat. You know, I actually like liverwurst. I've always liked it since my dad basically grew up in Cuba and his family traveled Europe a lot before he moved to the United States. We always had liverwurst, marzipan, cow tongue, all this other stuff. I really like liverwurst. I haven't had it in a while, but I like it. But I'm definitely not going to eat it now. And boar's head, I love. I have texture issues with lunch meat, and there's so many lunch meats that I've tried and I don't like them. And boar's head, I normally like all of them. And now I'm going to be scared to eat boar's head, so no lunch meat for me. So there have been travel advisories for Mexico for a while. If you are going to travel out of the country, please check the travel advisories before you go. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in the world right now. There's a lot of places that the United States is saying don't go to. If you want to check places and see if they're safe for travel, then this is the government travel advisory website that I just shared. Like there's, well, Afghanistan, obviously don't go there. Guinea, Macau. Some of these countries I don't even know. Belarus, do not travel. And a lot of the countries have, increased caution and things like that. You should always be cautious no matter where. But if they're level 3 or 4, I would not go because it says, reconsider travel for level 3 and do not travel as level 4. Trinidad and Tobago is reconsider travel. South Sudan, don't travel there. Haiti, don't travel there. But Jamaica, reconsider travel, which is sad because Jamaica is a beautiful country. Good luck, Mike. Good luck. So let's see what is the latest that's happened in Mexico for them to issue more travel warnings.
Vince, thanks. Tonight, Mexican authorities continue to investigate the deaths of two sisters from Arizona. Both of them were killed in Sonora, Mexico, Friday morning and were found dead inside their car that had been riddled with bullets. Now, we know that a lot of you travel down to Sonora to areas like Rocky Point on a pretty regular basis. So ahead of the holiday weekend, how can visitors stay safe? 12 News journalist Bianca Bono talked to an official from the Consulate General of Mexico and has some safety tips from experts.
Tragedy striking near Arizona's southern border after two sisters, 72 and 82 years old, were attacked by armed men and murdered in Mexico. They were on their way to Caborca, Sonora, Mexico Friday morning, heading there on a highway from the border town of Sonoita, ultimately found dead inside this white Nissan Pathfinder, which had been rolled over and was riddled with bullets. Authorities locating a stolen truck with firearms and ammunition inside, believed to have been operated by the attackers. The criminals responsible still at large.
We're very sorry for this. We weren't expecting anything like that to happen to anyone, not a Mexican national, not an American national.
Maria Fernanda Araguin works at the Consulate General of Mexico's Phoenix office. She says she routinely gets questions from Arizonans seeking advice on how to safely travel to Sonora. She says popular vacation destinations there, like Rocky Point, are safe.
It's better if you start early so you get to the place that you're going through during daylight. The second tip that I would say is to stop in public places.
Right now, the U.S. Department of State has issued a travel advisory for Sonora, telling Americans to reconsider visiting the area due to crime and kidnapping.
We tend to focus on the things that are going wrong, and there are a lot of things that are going well in Mexico.
Concerns over Sonora's safety are familiar to Mike Jarvinen and his wife, Linnell.
It's very safe. And my wife travels it 3 days a week.
It's part of what inspired Linnell to start their business nearly 20 years ago. Head out to Rocky Point, a shuttle service bringing groups from Phoenix to the beach destination.
She worked in Phoenix in the reservation business for Rocky Point reservations and just heard the need of how to get down there. And people didn't want to drive their cars. And they're a little leery about the whole situation, so we just started it.
As Sonora's Attorney General and the FBI investigate the tragic deaths, looking to arrest the criminal group responsible, experts say there are ways to safely visit the area.
The federal government and also the local governments have been working so hard to get security through everywhere in Mexico.
In Phoenix, Bianca.
Yeah, I'm not going to Mexico. I've been to Mexico. I think Mexico is a beautiful country and have a lot of wonderful people there. However, there's definitely a lot of stuff that's going on in Mexico. Normally the cartels and stuff stay out of the touristy areas for the economy, but even the touristy areas are having more issues. And yeah, I'm good. I've been to Cancun. No, it wasn't Cancun. Was it Cancun? No, it wasn't Cancun. It's another one. I can't remember the name. But it's where they filmed the Corona commercials. And I went to that beach, beautiful beach. But yeah, just make sure to check travel advisories and always exercise extreme caution everywhere. Yeah, the United States. Because you're just as likely to be a victim of a crime here at home. So Denver, we're going to go back to Denver, and there's a video of an apartment complex that is showing a bunch of armed men in the apartment complex. That's terrifying. I couldn't imagine living in this apartment and seeing these guys walking around with long guns. Missy, I think, shared this story on Twitter, and I came across it on YouTube.
By the new video surfacing today showing a huge problem with what some are calling gang violence at an apartment complex in Aurora. The video shows men entering an apartment building with several weapons and then busting down a door.
And all of this taking place at the apartments, which had become a crime hotspot in that city. Fox 31's Vicente Arenas was at that complex today as people were moving out, fearing for their safety. Vicente is joining us live from that complex with a closer look at that eye-opening video, Vicente.
It is eye-opening, Erica. It is significant because this is the first time we've actually seen what has been happening inside that apartment complex at different times. This video, there's two different clips you're about to see. One of them, people carrying guns, and another where two people are just trying to break down a door.
The video shows a group of men walking up a stairwell at the Edge Lowry apartment complex in Aurora. All of them appear to be carrying rifles and handguns, and the video shot earlier this month. One of the men can be seen talking on a cell phone. They all then gather around a door and go in. Another video clip shows men forcing a door open. But what or who they were searching for, not clear. The video was shot in the building where Cindy and Edward Romero lived until today. They loaded up their stuff and moved out.
It's been a nightmare and I can't wait to get out of here.
This is how Cindy used to lock her front door.
Every day when we come home, we have to do this. Every time we go outside to take out the garbage, every time we try to go to bed at night, we have to keep it like this so nobody can kick in the door.
The couple's car and many others here were riddled with bullets after a shootout at the complex earlier this month. The Romeros say the trouble started when a large number of migrants began moving in. They had not been able to move out for different reasons.
We couldn't get any. We tried reaching out to the resources, but they told us since it wasn't actually a condemned building, we would have to wait until that was the issue, but we didn't want to wait for that. So the only help I got was after talking to you.
We showed council member Danielle Jurinsky the video. Today, she helped the couple move out and find a new place to live.
The city nonprofits have lined up to help the migrants that have come here, but nobody is helping the American citizens, the residents that are trapped in these apartment complexes.
The Romeros tell us others living here had been asking when they'd be moving out.
And this isn't just Americans. This is other Venezuelans that are living under this control, that are being extorted by the control of this gang.
While we were on the property today, even before we left, we were told other people were moving in and taking over the Romeros unit.
We did speak to the mayor's office this afternoon. They sent us a statement saying that so far there are no code enforcement violations taking place at this complex. The mayor's office also responding in part for the Aurora Police Department. They're telling us that the police department here has seen that video that we just showed you. There is a lot more to this story. We'll be covering it in the days to come.
I certainly hope so. It's terrifying, and they have no resources or help to get out of there. Moving isn't cheap. I appreciate that. I think they said she was a city council member. She didn't just help them move. She literally helped them move. She was carrying their stuff. But people shouldn't have to go to the media for something like this to get help. That's absolutely terrifying. But this also shows that this is something that a lot of victims of crime go through. People are forced to stay in places that are dangerous, even after someone is shot, murdered, raped, and they don't have the resources to move, and they can't move. I have been seeing more and more stuff happening in Aurora, which you wouldn't think that area would have stuff like that, but they do. Okay, so we are going to go back to California. So an Oakland shop employee felt the need to pull out a gun because there was a mob. And this is also becoming an issue too. People are realizing if there's a mob, nobody can do anything. There's only so much police. There's only so much that can be done. And the other thing that was scary about that video that they showed, those are not tiny weapons. Those are large rifles. And they just walked right in with it, so they had to walk with the weapon there, and they never said that the police came. Did the police come? Did somebody call the police? Because, yeah, they saw the video. Okay. Did you guys come out? But long rifles are something that we have to look out more for. Those are becoming more and more common. When I see a lot of crime videos, it's no longer handguns, it's these larger rifles, which is scary. And then there's more and more mob things happening. It happens in shoplifting, it happens in looting. So let's go to Oakland and see this mob.
A viral video is raising questions and a lot of concern about just how bad crime is in Oakland and how people should respond to it. The video shows a liquor store employee pulling a gun on a group of more than 100 people after he says that mob tried to loot the store and assault him. NBC Barry's Relina Jones spoke to that employee tonight.
Take a look. This video posted to multiple websites shows a group of hundreds of bikers taking over the street in front of Golden Hour's liquor store around 4:15 Saturday afternoon. Then suddenly one of the store employees pulls out a gun and people scatter. He says this all happened after people in that crowd began punching him and one reached for his gun.
And he yanked on my belt pretty hard and the firearm was starting to go down my pants, so I pulled it out and I backed him up. I backed them all up.
Robert says he didn't plan to hurt anyone. He also says what you don't see in the video is multiple people repeatedly attacking him, pulling out knives and attempting to steal from the store he works in. Once the group started to leave, he says he was punched again.
Just, bow, it just hit me right in the face. And then I went like this and I heard somebody out here shooting in the air, and then they took off then.
Robert says he was detained and questioned by police while the group made up of mostly kids and teens got away. He believes the group is part of a regular organized bike event involving people from other cities.
I'd like to see the organizers of these events have a little bit more accountability, you know? Let's be real here. Somebody put this together, somebody brought this here, right? And this is the result. And from what I understand, this is a typical result.
Philip Gums also saw the group move past his store, which has been shot at and vandalized in the past. He says crime is driving businesses like his out of Oakland.
I've stopped all kind of robberies from my friend's store here, you know, and it's unruly and people don't come here anymore.
Councilmember Noel Gallo is calling for city cameras to be reactivated and a larger, more visible police presence.
It's complete insanity, disrespect for the city, and we need more. Definitely need the police to take action.
OPD says officers are investigating the gunfire, but have not made any arrests. Just last Friday, during a press conference, Oakland police urged residents not to engage criminals.
We really ask our residents to be good witnesses, to direct the police to detain or stop individuals involved in crimes, especially violent crimes. What we don't want is our residents to become victims themselves.
It's advice those confronted with crime, Phil, doesn't add up.
No. You're supposed to let them take the merchandise, right? So then what's next? You let them take the money? Then what's next? You let them take our lives? Then what? Then they're going to say you shouldn't get involved? No.
In Oakland.
Yeah, like what was he supposed to do? That's ridiculous. I think he was in fear of his life, people attacking him. Don't get involved. Just that's one of the problems is that there's no accountability. Nothing happens. People can just do whatever. It's horrible. Okay, so this video I already shared. Let me remove that. Wow. Okay. So a social media model, this happened in Miami. There's a lot of influencers in Miami. I've seen a few stories out of Miami with influencers. So there was a crash, and nowadays they're able to tell, you know, how far the accelerator has been pressed and things like that. The accelerator was at 100%. The max speed limit in Miami, even on the highway, is 55 miles an hour.
Well, the social media model that police say confessed to being on a so-called party drug when she crashed her car and killed 2 people was once again in front of a judge today. Now, this time it was because prosecutors obtained new evidence.
NBC6 reporter Christian Colon joins us from court to explain.
Social media model Macy Lathers went face-to-face with a judge for the second time in the last week. This time, prosecutors say they got their hands on new evidence.
Now she's facing the additional charges of vehicular homicide. And depending on the toxicology results, she may also face additional charges of DUI manslaughter.
Last week, Lathers got 8 charges for causing a deadly downtown crash that killed 2 people and then fled the scene. The 24-year-old told police she was on a drug known as pink cocaine.
She advised she was under the influence of 2C, a known party drug, and that she was from the future and had a crystal ball.
Factually, the reason why we added the charges was...
Today, Lathers received 4 new charges, including vehicular homicide. One man killed was Abraham Ismael. Juanita Hernandez survived but lost her partner.
I don't know why we're here without the state providing me notice that this is going to take place. This is an ambush, Your Honor.
That was Lathers' defense attorney calling today's new charges an ambush. But prosecutors say they needed to add these charges because of the car's data. That new evidence, police say, showed Lathers driving nearly 80 miles per hour at the moment of impact, with her foot 100% on the accelerator.
And as you heard, it's not over yet. More severe charges could come. As for Lathers, she is allowed to get out of jail, but must be on house arrest. In Miami, Christian Colon, NBC6 News.
Yeah, that looked like the area that she was in, looked like that was like Brickell or something. And those are not highways or anything. There's shops and stuff right there. I was actually in an accident in Miami. Somebody hit me going, I think 70 something, and we were in a area where the max speed limit should have been 35. It was a drunk driver, and I still have issues because of that accident with like my shoulder, my collarbone likes to not stay in place and things like that because of it. Yeah, pink cocaine is terrifying because it's not actual cocaine. It's just a powder that is pink. And it could be so many things. I've shared videos on this previously. It's also 2CB. So there's 2CB and then there's 2C. But they have psychedelics in it. 2CB is a very, very strong hallucinogen. It's stronger than acid. It's stronger than, any other forms of hallucinogen. So that's terrifying. She had 2 additional charges yesterday as she was caught on speed camera driving 80. Good to know, Dizzy. Good to know. Hi, Mike. Oh, I'm sorry. You'll have to tell me more about it. We'll talk on Twitter. So a restaurant in California accidentally served a toddler alcohol. So I guess if you have children, take a sip of their drink first, because this isn't the first story I've seen like this.
A labeling mistake is being blamed for landing a toddler in a California emergency room.
Yeah, very disturbing. It led to a little girl receiving something much stronger than juice with her dinner. Here's ABC's Derek Dennis.
What was supposed to be a cup of apple juice turned out to be so much more at this Japanese restaurant in Salinas, California. A toddler served a cup of cooking wine, not apple juice, apparently by mistake. It was Noemi Valencia's daughter.
She was swaying, she was falling over, she was leaning on the walls, she couldn't hold her head up. She was slurring her words.
Those were the first signs something was wrong. Valencia says she and her husband immediately checked her daughter's cup, smelled the alcohol, and sounded the alarm, rushing their daughter to a hospital where a test revealed a blood alcohol level of 0.12%.
well above the state's .08 legal limit. The Valencia family asking this of the restaurant and its workers.
Take proper precautions in how you store things or label things properly so that this doesn't happen to anybody else, or, it could have been so much worse.
ABC affiliate KSBW spoke to the manager of the restaurant who called the incident a mistake, explaining the wine was being stored in an old container labeled apple juice, which led to the serving error. A police report has been filed with state investigators saying the California Department of Alcohol Beverage Control is aware of the reports and is working with local authorities to investigate. The child's parents grateful their daughter was able to fully recover. Derek Dennis, ABC News.
All right, let me pause this. My landlord just texted me. They're sending a different company than the guy that didn't. She is not sending the company that didn't show up yesterday. She's sending a different company. Yeah. So that's good. They'll be here between 12 and 2. I don't have anything going on today, so that's fine. I'm hanging out with y'all. That's the only thing I got going on. Yeah, I mean, that's so dangerous. Cooking wine does not need to go in an apple juice container. Why would you put cooking wine? Aren't you not supposed to put stuff in things that aren't labeled properly in restaurants? Like, isn't that illegal? I don't know much about restaurant law, but I remember that you can't like mix two alcohols together, but I don't know if you can put alcohol in a juice container. But yeah. So a lot of crime, unfortunately, is involving teenagers. The next two stories are both teenagers, both responsible for taking a life of somebody else. The first story is two teenagers that are responsible for a 9-year-old's death, and then a 19-year-old that is responsible for the murder of somebody in Baltimore.
New this morning, one of the teenagers charged as an adult with shooting up a Milwaukee home and killing a 9-year-old boy inside once his case moved to juvenile court. The 16-year-old, who we are not naming at this time, and 17-year-old Demarion Glenn are both charged with first-degree reckless homicide in the death of 9-year-old Jonael Zambrano. 12 News reporter Madison Moore joins us live outside of the Milwaukee County Courthouse this morning. And Madison, the 16-year-old's attorney made that request in court this morning.
Right, Jaron. So that 16-year-old appeared in front of a Milwaukee County judge here this morning for a preliminary hearing. Now, his defense attorney waived that hearing and instead asked for a separate hearing. It's called a reverse waiver hearing, where a judge will decide if the 16-year-old's case should be moved to juvenile court given his age. Now, because that decision has not been made, that is why we are not naming or showing the defendant here this morning. Now, the 16-year-old who appeared in front of court today and the 17-year-old you mentioned, Demarion Glenn, they're both charged with killing 9-year-old Jonael Zambrano. It was an innocent kid who was not the intended target of a bullet barrage at an apartment complex on the city's far northwest side. Now, according to a criminal complaint, the pair were walking around the Woodlands apartment complex on Swan Road near Brown Deer Road the night of June 13th, looking for 17-year-old Sharon Thornton. The 16-year-old, told investigators was, quote, talking crazy about them. Now, this 16-year-old defendant here told investigators in an interview that Thornton was in the parking lot that night and shot at them. He then said he and Glenn fired shots into the air, which was caught on surveillance video. Investigators say the pair then walked to the back of what they thought was Thornton's apartment and fired 11 shots into the home, but it was the wrong apartment. Prosecutors say 9-year-old Jonael Zambrano was struck in his head and later died at the hospital. His 6 and 12-year-old cousins in the room survived.
I agree with you. I am finding probable cause to believe that a felony has been committed within the jurisdiction of the circuit court, and I will bind over Mr. I'm further finding that his waiver has been made freely, voluntarily, and with full understanding.
And so, Madison, the other defendant charged in this case was also supposed to be in court today.
Oh, right, Jaron. So that defendant, Damarian Glenn, a 17-year-old, was supposed to appear in front of a judge today for a preliminary hearing. However, he does not have an attorney yet, so that hearing was rescheduled.
12 News' Madison Moore joining us live outside of the Milwaukee County Courthouse this morning. Madison, thank you. Now, investigators say a week after that shooting that killed 9-year-old Jonelle Zambrano, Damarian Glenn shot and killed Sharon Thornton in Milwaukee's Washington Park. That shooting happened following a Juneteenth peace event. In that case, Glenn is also facing first-degree intentional homicide charges.
Wait, is that a different teen, or was that the same teen that killed somebody else? Yeah, I think that if you take somebody's life and you're a teenager, you're charged as an adult. You did an adult thing. You absolutely should be charged as an adult. That's ridiculous. So the next story is a 19-year-old that was sentenced to 70 years for murder.
The best song that describes Kayla is "Girls Just Want to Have Fun." That's all she wanted to do was have fun and live her life like everyone else.
Words read in court Wednesday from Tammy Nobles to her daughter's accused killer.
Her hopes, dreams, and goals were shattered and taken from her on July 27, 2022, through the evil actions of the defendant, Walter Martinez.
The crime, so horrific, Kayla's body had to be fully covered during her funeral.
Because of the injuries she endured, she needed a dress that would cover her arms and neck.
Martinez illegally entered the U.S. from El Salvador.
To paint him as this poor kid from El Salvador. He didn't have parents. When I was reading my impact statement, he was huffing and puffing.
Martinez taking a plea deal, admitting his guilt. The judge handing down a 70-year sentence, but prosecutors dropping a bombshell accusation.
What surprised us was that he said he committed 4 murders and 2 rapes.
Martinez confessing to those crimes in a letter sent to a pastor in El Salvador.
I knew in the beginning that it wasn't his first crime. Nobody commits their first crime this horrific and this evil. I had a feeling he did it before.
Kayla's case, eerily similar to another case here in Maryland.
I've actually been in touch with Rachel's mom. We've been talking.
You don't ever want to give up your child, and to have to accept the fact that she's dead.
Murder of Rachel Marin and her accused killer, Victor Martinez Hernandez.
I was wondering if they were related. I asked, and they're like, they don't think they are.
Martinez Hernandez also entered the country illegally from El Salvador. There, investigators say he also committed a murder months before they say he killed Rachel Marin.
No one said you can't come here, but you're not going to come here and be a criminal and kill American girls and, citizens.
For Tammy, she wants Kayla to be the catalyst for change.
With Kayla's case, they did put his DNA in the system, and now that other families can hopefully get closure. And
not only for the other murders her daughter's killer confessed to, but she says so it won't happen again.
I'm going to still share her story, and hopefully something will change for the better for this country. Try to keep it from happening as much as possible to other moms, because it's becoming a everyday thing.
Now, even though Martinez was sentenced to 70 years, since he was 16 at the time of the crime, the state could not seek life without the possibility of parole. So at some point, he could be up for parole. Keep in mind right now, he's only 19 years old. In studio, Vincent Hill, Fox 40.
I don't give a shit if they're 16. Another 16-year-old. He should get life without parole. Maybe this family and Jocelyn Aguirre's family here in Houston, those two families, they all need to join together to get some change. So another teenager, another one that was sentenced to 41 years for a sexual assault that he committed when he was 14 years old. 14. Well, this court didn't have a problem. That's 41 years. Good. So 41 years at 14. That's wonderful. So hopefully they actually keep him in there. And that 70 years, I hope that it's not like, oh, you're up for parole in 10 years or something, because there needs to be a certain percentage served. So let's see what they say about the 14-year-old. That's just so horrible. And Hollywood, this is in Florida.
And now a teen learning his fate after committing a chilling crime and live streaming it on the internet. The night team's Nicole and Salata live at the courthouse in Fort Lauderdale with the sentence the judge handed down. Nicole.
Well, Belkis, this young man took the stand and asked the judge for mercy. But the victim's mother, well, she was having none of that. She wanted a much tougher sentence. So after hours of testimony, finally the judge did hand down a sentence that will have this man out of prison when he is 58 years old.
The terror and suffering that Winter went through at the hands of this person, who despite being underage, committed an adult crime, has left scars on her soul.
A woman speaking for her daughter, who she says is still too traumatized to face this 17-year-old accused of raping her on South Park Road in Hollywood 2 years ago. Terry Berger Smith was just 14 at the time. He pled no contest to kidnapping and rape, and Friday he would learn his fate.
The sentencing for this person, despite his age, must reflect the severity of his actions and serve as a deterrent to others who seek to commit such acts of violence.
Berger Smith attacked the woman back in 2022. Surveillance video captured him stalking the woman, then pushing her behind a bush, where he sexually assaulted her multiple times, telling her he had AIDS, that he had a knife and gun, and that he was recording video of her. All of this just feet from the Hollywood Police Department. His parents told the court they could not comprehend his actions.
I didn't raise my kid knowing that, one day we'll do such things, and I'm ashamed.
How did you get it? That's a good question. I'm trying to understand myself.
Berger Smith apologized and begged the judge for a light sentence and a second chance.
I would like my freedom. I would like a chance to be a normal person and not a criminal and or menace society.
But the woman's mother says it's a chance he does not deserve and that her daughter is still suffering.
It is devastating to witness the profound impact that this cruel act has had on Winter's life.
Ultimately, the judge decided on nearly 42 years behind bars, noting the defense wanted a lighter sentence for Berger Smith based on his age.
Certainly the age would qualify it, but the facts in this case do not justify it. Things that he did, not only physically but emotionally to this woman, is tough.
Would like to just thank the police department, state's attorney. They did really good work. I feel like they did the best they could, and I feel like that what happened was fair.
And Berger Smith has 30 days to appeal this sentence. Reporting at the...
Kudos to that judge for actually seeing sexual assault for what it is, a horrific crime that impacts somebody for the rest of their lives. Because it's not like the victim just gets to, close that chapter in their life. That's going to impact them for the rest of their life. So, this judge we're going to keep. We like him. We're going to find out who that judge is. Send him a fruit basket or something. So, I have some news out of Australia. So, there is a trend of kids riding trains, but this has been something that's been happening in New York. I've seen videos of it up there too, where they surf the trains. So Australia is also having issues with people hanging out the doors.
Concerns tonight over a dangerous social media stunt where teens break into Sydney's ageing trains, riding them while hanging out of the doors. 2 young people have been injured in the past few weeks. Transport authorities now scrambling to stop the trend before someone is killed.
A death-defying commute for a class clown. Despite her smile, this stunt is far from funny.
Absolutely ridiculous, dangerous, and just shocking.
Disgraceful.
Yeah.
Stupid.
This video was taken between Revesby and Macarthur Station earlier this month. It shows two teenage girls in uniform leaning out the side of a fast-moving passenger service on their way to school.
And I bet their parents don't know they're doing it.
The trend is called popping a Ridgie. Social media is full of videos showing people riding on the back of the old K-set model trains, able to access the empty crew compartments without any tools.
I've actually seen some of them do it, and it made a really loud bang. I wondered what went on, and it was in peak hour. The train was full of people.
Earlier this month, a 14-year-old boy broke his leg train surfing at Revesby. Last Friday, another boy was hospitalised after a similar incident near Redfern.
If our trains are unsafe, our trains are allowing for that sort of dangerous behaviour, then totally, yeah. The state government needs to take a look at it.
These K-set model trains are in the process of being phased out and now only run on limited lines, including the T8 and T3. And it seems these teenage daredevils know that too. Transport for New South Wales says it stepped up security and reinforced the crew doors to try and stop the stunts. In Revesby, James Wilson, 9 News.
Yeah, that's literally insane to do. A train is so much bigger and more powerful than a vehicle, and even doing that in a car would be very dangerous. Well, apparently a lot of these kids are doing it on their way to school, and they have no clue what their kids are doing, but they're obviously recording it and posting it on social media. So, in Australia, police are looking for a man that poured boiling coffee on a baby in a park. There are psychopaths everywhere.
Detectives have renewed their appeal to the public for help to find a man who poured hot coffee on a baby at a Brisbane park. I cannot believe the words I'm reading. Reporter Ariana Levy joins us now from Brisbane. Ari, good morning. Such a horrific incident. What's happened since?
Good morning, Michael. It's certainly right. It's such a horrific incident that's really unfolded at a local park in Brisbane. Now, the latest is that police have released additional new photos of the man that they believe is involved in this incident. He's been described as a man in his 30s to 40s of proportionate build with tan skin, but at the time he also is described as having worn a black hat, glasses, checkered shirt, as well as shorts. But certainly this has just come as such a shock to so many in the community. On Tuesday, the 9-month-old baby boy was with his mother and her friends at a local park, Hanlon Park, near Stones Corner, when they were approached by an unknown man who then proceeded allegedly to pour boiling hot coffee on this young boy. Now, he suffered significant burns. He was treated and taken to hospital where he underwent surgery, and we've now been updated that he is in a stable condition. But police have described this attack as unprovoked and deliberate. They released CCTV footage yesterday, and in that footage you can see a man that's seen running away from Hanlon Park. It's certainly rocked so many in the community. One detective has even said that in his 35 years on the force, he's never seen a horrendous act as this on such a young child. So now police have set up a mobile police beat at Hanlon Park. They're looking to gather further evidence and continue to speak with local residents, and they vowed, Michael, to say that they will not be resting. They'll work around the clock to find the perpetrator, as they continue to urge anyone in the community with any sort of information at all to please contact police and to come forward.
Yeah, that's absolutely horrific. And why? Like, unprovoked. You know, it used to be that stranger attacks were much more rare, but they're coming more and more and more common. I'm going to put the link in the chat if you want to help share this story. You never know who you're connected to. Somebody might know something and recognize that person, and I hope Australia throws the book at him. So the next two stories are about domestic violence. Actually, three. I need to move. We have 3 domestic violence stories, sadly. Domestic violence is a huge problem and it's becoming a much larger problem. Stop moving. A much larger problem in the country. So the first story is coming out of Houston. The victim was staying at the Women's Center to try to stay away from him. Another one, the daughter killed her mother, and police had been called 30 times in 4 years. And then in South Florida, a TikTok influencer, her ex-stepdad tried to kill her.
A man charged with stabbing his ex-girlfriend to death, then dumping her body in Bray's Bayou.
Investigators say the victim tried everything she could to get away from the suspect. Anieli Ruiz has the troubling timeline from the Harris County Jail in downtown Houston tonight. Anieli.
Well, guys, the man is actually being charged with tampering with evidence of a human corpse, and also with a murder. And according to investigators, they tell us he did this all while she was fleeing from him and living at a shelter. Oscar Daniel Vega Espinosa appeared in probable cause court facing a judge for the first time.
Oscar Vega Espinosa, will you please stand up?
According to court documents, investigators believe he killed his ex-girlfriend, 30-year-old Ana Calelia Melendez de la Rocha, on August 15th. Her body was found floating in Bray's Bayou near Mason Park 2 days later, spotted by someone walking the trail. Court documents reveal she had a stab wound in her chest. She had been reported missing from the women's shelter by her roommate.
The complaint is on video leaving a women's shelter where she did not take her purse or motor vehicle. It is alleged that she told a witness that she was getting money and a vacuum cleaner from you.
But court documents say this wasn't the first time. He allegedly beat her before, even slashed her tires and threatened to kill her and her kids. One neighbor tells us,
Se trató de evitar, pero no se pudo.
She tried to help her. She lived here in her home for almost a month. And she's heartbroken because she felt like this was her sister, because she didn't have family here. That's why she went to live at a shelter. The women's shelter could not comment on this specific case due to privacy reasons, but emphasized that the focus should shift from blaming victims to providing them with support.
Instead of asking, why she did this or why she did that, is how is it that we can help, people in these situations, and what are the barriers? Let's identify and work with people and really identifying what those barriers are.
Now we're back out here live. This is the area where the victim lived with her boyfriend, and also the area where she was trying to get out of this relationship, and she went to neighbors for help. Now, by the way, she does leave behind 3 children. They're all in Nicaragua. And the suspect in this case, he's still in the Harris County Jail being held on a $600,000 bond. Reporting live, Anieli Ruiz, KHOU 11 News.
If you are trying to escape an abusive relationship, you can call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. That number, 1-800-799-7233, or text the word START to 88788.
That's very sad. She tried to get away. And a $600,000 bond, I'm surprised it's that high. I'm glad it's that high, but, more should have been done before that. So now moving on to the mother-daughter domestic violence situation, where authorities were called 30 times for emergencies.
Buncombe County Sheriff's records show 30 calls to law enforcement in 4 years to the house where a murder took place last week. Danya Dewey is charged with murdering her mother at their home in the Broad River community. News 13's Kimberly King joins us. And Kim, the logs show calls for a mental subject.
Holly, 3 pages of law enforcement calls show Lori Pallinger called for help, but Danya Dewey, charged with murdering her, is also listed as making calls. The call made last week by Lori's 85-year-old mother from out of state. Down this gravel road is where 911 records show a mother from out of town worried about her daughter's safety.
My name is Kathy Grundman, and I'm calling from New Orleans area.
Grundman told the dispatcher she knew about her granddaughter, Danya.
My daughter, Lori Pallinger, lives in Black Mountain. Her adult daughter lives with her, who is mentally insane. I know the police are familiar because they go there.
Buncombe Sheriff's records obtained by News 13 show 30 calls for law enforcement service. In 2021, a domestic disturbance. Last year, 2 calls on a mental subject, a call for mental papers to be served, another call last month. In February, Dewey charged with assault. Warrants show a woman punched in the face and the back of her head, resulting in a concussion. A source confirming to News 13 the alleged victim was a nurse in a local behavioral health facility.
I used to work in inpatient psychiatry.
Clinical psychologist Josh Coleman has written about parent and adult-child conflict early in his career working in a locked psych unit.
And certainly saw a lot of cases where family members were attacked or beaten. We used to have state institutions where people could be hospitalized long-term if they had mental illness.
Coleman says it's no longer the case.
Well, the system failed this mother. The mother didn't fail her. In most states in the United States, maybe she could do an involuntary hold for maybe 3 days to 2 weeks, but then they're released, and even if they're medicated, they can go off the medication. So there aren't great options for parents at this point in our society.
Dewey now held in jail with a scheduled court appearance in 3 weeks. A judge has declared Dewey indigent and will now assign her a public defender. A public defender will be assigned in the case.
That was a weird way to end that. Yeah, so another system failure due to lack of mental health options, just like the naked guy running around the Los Angeles area. And then there is a TikTok influencer that was shot at by her ex-stepdad. So domestic violence isn't always couples. It can be, anybody in the family.
New at 5, the man accused of trying to kill his ex-stepdaughter, who's a South Florida social media influencer, went before a judge to face multiple charges.
NBC6's Lorena Inclán is live from the Miami-Dade County Jail with more. Lorena, the suspect remains in jail this afternoon?
He does remain in jail. He's facing no bond as he awaits his pretrial detention hearing. Meanwhile, the social media influencer that he's accused of trying to kill is his ex-stepdaughter, who posted images and videos to her Instagram showing her injuries. And we do want to warn you, some of the images that we're about to show you may be difficult to see. Now, the popular social media influencer known as Ishel Berroterran posted these images on her Instagram yesterday, showing what she says were her injuries and that of her mom's from the night of August 21st. Berroterran says her ex-stepfather forced his way into the apartment that she shares with her mom and began threatening to kill her, claiming she was the reason he could not be with her mom. According to the police report, 64-year-old Luis Damas fired one shot, but it missed Berroterran. The report says both mother and daughter began wrestling with Damas to try to disarm him. Now, according to the police report, Damas began to bite his ex-wife and grabbed Berroterran by the hair, not allowing her to leave. Damas is facing 9 charges, including attempted felony murder and aggravated assault with a firearm. Now, the report says that the victims did not report this incident until the day after because, according to police, they were scared after the suspect threatened them that if they involved police, that he would have them killed by hitmen. Now, the social media influencer posted on her Instagram that once she heals, she would like to become a voice for those who are suffering from abuse.
Yeah, that's also terrifying. I'm glad that the mother and daughter were able to fight him off. That's a horrible thing to experience. Yeah, and it's happening all over the country. It's relationships, there's a mental health crisis. People are just so crazy now. Everybody's so angry. So the next story I had seen before and shared on Twitter. So in the Fulton County Jail, people were caught sneaking in cell phones. But the story that I saw said cell phones, food, and then had chicken pot pies separate. So this says cell phones, sex, and chicken pot pies. I guess those chicken pot pies must have been really amazing chicken pot pies for them to call it out specifically.
New at 6, phones and more smuggled into the Fulton County Jail. Tonight, the Fulton County Sheriff's Office confirms it has an ongoing corruption investigation and 4 security officers who work for a contract company arrested. Channel 2 investigative reporter Mark Winnie is live at the jail where he's been poring over the warrants against these 4. Mark, you found some allegations that seem shocking.
Yeah, a Fulton County Sheriff's Office official says this investigation started in May and more arrests are expected. But for now, 4 young women are residents of the jail where they worked until yesterday.
They work for strategic security. I can confirm that they have all been terminated.
The Fulton County Sheriff's Office says it turns out 4 security officers working for a contractor at the county jail were security problems. Records suggest Briasha Tate admitted using a book to hide phones. Allegedly confessed to smuggling in cell phones in a cutout inside a book?
Yes.
Now one might say that Fulton County Sheriff's Office is throwing the book at her. After a corruption investigation, we counted 10 criminal warrants naming her. Records indicate after she reported to work Tuesday, she was transported to the Jail Investigations Unit's office, and that Ms. Tate stated she had sexual intercourse with an inmate inside of the bathroom in the tower on floor 7 South on 3 separate occasions. That Ms. Tate stated she brought a total of 6 cell phones inside of the jail and gave them to the inmate. That Ms. Tate stated she cut portions of the pages of the inside of a book and concealed the phones inside of the hole in the book. That Ms. Tate stated she brought strips, paper laced with chemicals used for smoking, inside of the jail on 2 separate occasions. That Ms. Tate stated she received payments from the inmate via Cash App for the contraband items she brought in and gave to him, and that her Cash App payment summary from the inmate showed a total of $1,682.
We can't screen for integrity.
Natalie Ammons of the Sheriff's Office says terminated security officer Regina Harris faces 3 warrants related to a contraband cell phone provided to an inmate. Ms. Ammons says terminated security officer Lacuna Ballard is accused of sending explicit photos and videos to an inmate, plus a couple of conspiracy charges involving conversations about how to bring cigarettes and cell phones into the jail. And Ms. Ammons says terminated security officer Anisia Silas faces a conspiracy charge involving a phone charger and a charge involving giving an inmate unauthorized food, namely a chicken pot pie. Now, Ms. Ammons says all 4 suspects were given bond, but as of late this afternoon had not made bond yet. We tried without success to find lawyers.
We got our first look at the man accused of setting his ex-girlfriend on fire while she was working at a South Bay 7-Eleven this weekend.
That other story ended without actually ending. That's weird. So another story, another horrible story. So this man attempted to murder somebody by setting them on fire.
We got our first look at the man accused of setting his ex-girlfriend on fire while she was working at a South Bay 7-Eleven this weekend. Jose Villanueva appeared in court for the first time today as he faces multiple felonies, including attempted murder, torture, and arson. CBS 8's Anna Laurel was in the courtroom and learned Villanueva has a violent criminal history.
The judge just told us in the courtroom that a lot of planning went into this attack. She says evidence shows that Villanueva filled up cups of gasoline somewhere else. Then he came over and stalked the 7-Eleven before he went inside and set Amanda Buchanan on fire. And earlier this afternoon, I spoke with Amanda's son. He says he had to make the extremely difficult decision to take his mother off life support.
She didn't have enough skin to do skin grafts, on her body. And so on her face, she had bones exposed.
Dominic Rivera is the son of Amanda Buchanan, the manager of a Chula Vista 7-Eleven store who was set on fire at work Saturday morning. Dominic tells me he saw his mother's on-again, off-again boyfriend, Jose Villanueva, ambush her on the store's surveillance video.
It's him rushing in. My mom had her back turned. He poured gasoline, it looked like maybe out of a cup or something like that. And then they got into a scuffle. She was trying to push him off of her and away, and then they went into the bathroom off of the camera's view, and then that's when you just see the flames ignite, and then you see my mom running out of there and then rolling around on the ground for her life.
Late this afternoon, Dominic had to see his mother's accused attacker in court. Jose Villanueva faces numerous felonies, including attempted murder, torture, and arson.
Anger. I mean, when I first heard the news, I wanted to come down here and find him myself.
Officers arrested Jose several hours after the fire Saturday in Redlands, California, 100 miles north of Chula Vista.
He's trying to plead insanity, but there's no way that he's going to get away with insanity. He knew exactly what he's doing, and my mom's biggest fear was burning alive.
Amanda's coworker tried to put the flames out and got burned trying to do so. She's still in the hospital, but expected to recover. Now Dominic's mother, Amanda, the woman so many people are coming to honor at the store where she worked for a decade, will soon take her last breath. And the man accused of ruining her life is behind bars.
There's just something about, a son's and a mother's love, it's different. And the fact that he took that away, I don't even have words for it,
This afternoon, the judge said Villanueva was actually out on bail from another felony offense when he committed this crime Saturday. Tonight, he's behind bars with no bail. Out here in Chula Vista, this is Anna Laurel for CBS 8.
Well, I'm not surprised that he was out on bail for something else. So it looks like she hasn't passed away yet, which is why he's charged with attempted murder. But once they take her off life support, she will pass. I would assume that they update the charges then. I hope they do. So, more food safety. We talked about listeria earlier. Now a food vendor has been unsafe with their practices and has caused people to be sick. I don't know if you guys have had food poisoning. I've had it. It's horrible. I've had to have IV fluids and all that stuff. I wouldn't wish it. Yeah, it's terrible. So I really hate that people are getting sick due to other people's negligence. I'm pretty upset about Boar's Head too, like very.
Concern tonight from Maricopa County officials after more than a dozen people have gotten sick from eating food from unpermitted food vendors. 12 News journalist Jade Cunningham has more on their investigation and what you need to look out for.
Diarrhea and vomiting.
Our interviews with these individuals, it usually resolves within a day or so.
Both symptoms more than 17 people have reportedly experienced after officials say they ate food sold illegally by a particular group of street vendors.
Between 20 and 30 that are setting up every night, and they've been setting up since May.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, yeah. And it's across the valley. We've seen it out in the East Valley, West Valley here in Phoenix.
Andy Linton, the Maricopa County Environmental Services Department interim director, says they were first made aware of the problem months ago.
To date, we've received about 126 complaints.
The group of vendors in question is generally set up near sidewalks and in parking lots.
And they move around to different locations, and so that's what makes this a little bit unique.
The issue, Linton says, includes no hand washing or sanitation equipment. They've also found the food not properly refrigerated, specifically the tacos al pastor meat, which is usually found on a vertical rotisserie.
We suspect that it's not being held in temperature control overnight, and then they're bringing it out the next day, adding more raw meat to the top of it, and then continuing to slice it off and serve it into the tacos.
The Maricopa County Environmental Services Department is taking legal action.
In this case, there's been absolutely no cooperation from these vendors.
Meanwhile, they're asking the public to be aware. especially when choosing your next meal.
So looking for the permit is the surest way to know that they're following food safety practices and at least have the support equipment to be able to operate properly.
Lynn also tells me there are about 2,200 food vendors that are permitted in Maricopa County selling food legally. It's just in this case, this particular group is not. If you would like to file a complaint or even report a sickness because officials do believe there may be other people who have gotten sick from this, you can go to maricopa.gov/enviro.
So definitely check for permits. So Boar's Head, they had an outbreak of listeria. It was the liverwurst first that was recalled, and I think there was a couple other things, but they just had an inspection done, and I'm going to share it in the chat, the story. They found bugs, molds, mildew, and things that shouldn't be in a plant that's, producing food. And it makes me sad because I love Boar's Head. Bluebell, was it Blue? Yeah, Bluebell went through something similar because of that. Bluebell went through something similar, and they had, I think it was listeria also in the ice cream, and they had to clean out the plants and all that stuff too. I've given Bluebell another chance. I'm hoping Boar's Head redeems themselves. But just so y'all know, I just sent the report that came out. Check out the report and you can decide for yourself. Next story.
2 people have been arrested in the village of Rankin following harassment of drivers on Route 9. However, some people in town say this isn't a one-time instance. WCI3's Jack Crum is with us. Jack, when were they arrested?
Brandon, 1 adult and 1 juvenile were arrested this afternoon by the Vermilion County Sheriff's Office. It's following what neighbors are calling dangerous behavior on a major commuter road.
Just nothing but harassment, just trying to do a daily thing that everybody does, drive their car.
Neighbors in Vermilion County are fed up with disturbing behavior coming from some living on State Route 9.
Why are innocent people being forced to alter their routes?
Tammy Kennard lives in Rankin. She says hateful messaging towards police and county officials spray painted on the side of the house is just the tip of the iceberg.
Trash everywhere. I mean, there's just zero respect for commuters. The railroad, I mean, they've had issues with them. They've spray painted the viaduct.
She says over the last 2 years, people from the house have thrown rocks at cars, blared horns, and even shot out windshields of vehicles passing through.
The last straw was it happened to my husband's cousin, James, and I mean, we just had so many people after our post message us, say, you know, we want to do something about it, but we're scared. We don't want to get targeted afterwards.
Kennard posted this image on Facebook earlier this week. It shows James Miller with swelling on his head from what he believes was a rock thrown at him while driving his motorcycle.
I just had a feeling. I put both hands back on the handlebar, turned my bright lights on, and they popped out from the first tree right there. And that was instantly, it hit the front of my bike and then just smacked me right in the head.
Miller says another dangerous case of harassment on Route 9 happened just last week.
They actually ran me off the road about a mile down about 4 or 5 days before that.
Then Tuesday afternoon, the Vermilion County Sheriff's Department executed a search warrant at the property. The result was the arrest of 1 adult and 1 juvenile. Miller says he and many other drivers in town are now breathing a big sigh of relief.
Everyone else can, go back and forth to work and home and enjoy their commute now, not having to worry about it.
I did reach out to the Vermilion County Sheriff's Office to get a clarification of the charges. We have not heard back as of yet. Brandon?
All right, Jack, thank you.
Well, don't...
New at 5, the man accused of trying to kill his ex-stepdaughter who's...
Pause. Thank you. Well, I hope they don't breathe too much of a sigh of relief, because if you think they're going to stay in jail...
South Florida social media influencer went before a judge to face multiple charges.
NBC6.
They're going to get bail. They're going to be out, and I bet you they're going to do it again. Like, people didn't make the road. They're just driving it. Like, why would you buy a house right off of that road if you hate it so much? All right, so I have a couple more stories to share, and then we will be done for today. So I have a story out of, oh, I want you to move below this one. A story out of Oklahoma where a woman was attempting to drown children at a pool. She has been arrested. Everybody's losing their damn mind.
His instincts jumped in when he came back to that scanned area and they were still face down. He entered the water to make the save.
Back at the end of June, 2 kids, 4 and 6 years old, were saved by lifeguards at Will Rogers Aquatic Family Center. Those kids were seen motionless underwater.
With the assistance of a patron in the water, that lifeguard and one of our other head lifeguards were able to evacuate those 2 out of the water.
A police report says it was initially a drowning call, a tense situation for parents and pool staff.
The young girl, I believe, we did have to give some resuscitation breaths to, and we were able to kind of get that water out of her system and bring her back.
New this week, we've learned the mother of one of those kids was arrested Wednesday. She's also the aunt of the other child. According to a probable cause affidavit, a witness told officers at the scene this woman was seen holding the kids underwater while several people yelled at her, but it's not clear how long they went without air.
And 2 minutes is kind of that kind of point of no return almost, where you really want to get them back.
In the affidavit, it says one of the victims, the suspect's daughter, was interviewed by police this week. The documents say, quote, she disclosed she was only able to touch the bottom of the swimming pool with her hands. She disclosed her mother had attempted to force her to swallow water. I'm told the lifeguards that jumped into action to save these kids were only 16 and 21 years old.
Our lifeguard who was on the stand that observed it, it was his first season. He had been on the job for 4 weeks when it happened. So he was able to react, put his training into effect.
Jason Berger, KOCO 5 News.
Those poor lifeguards, thank God that they were paying attention. That's a big responsibility, 16 and 21. I'm very proud of them. So let's see, I only got 3 more videos to share. I'm pretty sure I shared everything else relevant. I did. So China is making, that has robo-dogs. Their machines are being used with weapons attached in military exercises now. Just what we need.
Clunky, but surprisingly coordinated. China's robot dogs can run at speeds of up to 16 miles an hour. They perform tricks, are always obedient, and guaranteed to draw a crowd. The top dog can tackle even more adventurous terrain and be sent on a rescue mission or into a fire. They also bounce back from a beating, ready to go again.
This one is strong enough to take my weight. And it may seem like a gimmicky toy, but it is part of the global race between the United States and China for new technology. Not only robotics, but also artificial intelligence.
Here, China's People's Liberation Army is training with a gun-toting robo-dog, leading combat teams on military exercises. But weaponized robot dogs are not the goal, this company insists. The challenge, though, is how to stop it.
There's been video of the Chinese military using these dogs with weapons on the top. What do you know about that?
We learned about this video from the internet, just like everyone else. We didn't know anything about it before that. We don't want our robot dogs to do anything that harms people. We're deeply sad about this too.
Does it worry you that it could be used in a battlefield, in a war?
No, the dog is not that smart. It's very simple. It needs human maintenance. It is difficult for it to do things that hurt people. It doesn't have a brain.
War aside, in downtown Beijing, this could be the perfect pet. You can take it for a walk, or not. There's no responsibility.
I think at the moment it's for people like me, or tech geeks and programmers and so on. But I think in the future it will be quite common, say in 5 or 10 years. I think humanoid robots, the more advanced version, will definitely enter people's homes, when they are affordable, of course.
Not in my home.
This elite engineering designed to humor and to help us. What do you think of the robo-dog?
Magical. When I first saw it, I couldn't believe it. And then I find that children are particularly attracted to it. Of course, adults will also look, but they may not stop for a long time like kids.
But in the wrong hands, battlegrounds of the future could buzz with drones and the drumbeat of robots.
They creep me out. Their little backwards legs freak me out. I hate it. And it needs a head. Like, just put a head there so it doesn't look like some headless thing. Make it cute. Make it have a little robot face with a smile or something. It creeps me out. I like technology and AI is great. I am not adding a humanoid robot in my home. I've seen the movie Megan. I am so good on that. So good. Like, no, absolutely not. All right, so moving on to our last two videos of the day. Yeah, I'm... Whoops. Okay, so I was muted. I hate those robots. I do not want them in my home. I think they're terrifying. The little backwards legs on them freak me out. I'm not... No. Mm-mm. They just need a face. They need to put a little face on them. Like, they need a little smiley face. All right, I'm going to do the last two videos now.
We brought Lucy down into the dugout, and we knew automatically that she was not fully prepared. The goal was to let her go out and try and get one bat, and we figured that it'd be pretty easy. Lucy showed just how excited she was and took off all over the field, into the visitors' dugout, back on the field, and then apparently had to do a little number two. So she went over on our infield grass and gave us a little fertilizer, I guess you could say. When she stopped and did her business, the first thought that came to my mind was, am I going to get in trouble for this? Some players kind of ran away from her that I think may have been afraid of dogs. Others, kind of reached out to pet her. At the end of the day, everyone laughed and thought it was just comedic gold.
And really, as imperfect as that debut was, if you know anything about minor league baseball, the notoriety from that moment is just all good. Obviously, something the team would embrace. Here in Vancouver, the Canadians, the minor league team, has the sushi race, one of the most exciting things about games here.
Try to end it on a positive note. Oh, my hair is crazy. Well, that is all I have for y'all today. Please make sure to, I'm going to make a post about what happened to Arlene Alvarez's family on Twitter. Please share it. We need answers from Judge Colleen Gallardo at the 337th court in Harris County why she decided to recuse herself after 5 months and even a couple days after a hearing. There's a lot of really fishy stuff going on with that case, and we need to keep the spotlight on it for sure. And then, please share the story of what happened in Australia. Oh, you know what, guys? I almost forgot to share something. I lied. I have one more video. Mike sent it to me, and it's on Twitter, so hold on. That's why I almost forgot it. And it's a funnier one. It's not a sad one. So let's see. Where are my bookmarks? Here we go. I got one more funny video. I thought I bookmarked it. I know I bookmarked it. I bookmarked too much crap, I swear. Hold on. I will find it. Nope. 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 I just looked this morning and it was there. Oh, found it! Alright, hold on. Yes, I know. I need to take my mouse with me downstairs. So, the last story of the day, Mike Savage shared with me. So, a Range Rover fell into the river because a couple was being intimate inside their car early in the morning and accidentally shifted it into drive, having it roll into the river. And here's the video. That's going to be an expensive mistake. See, y'all should have stayed in the back seat. I don't know how you guys changed the shifter. Like, look, that car's totaled. Telling that to your insurance company. Oh. Yeah, it's getting even more damaged. Great. Like, yeah, I don't think... Would insurance cover that, do you think? I tried to find, like, the actual news story on this, and I wasn't able to, where like an actual news video, so that's all I have for that story. But, like, that car is definitely totaled. I don't know if their insurance is going to accept that, but, yeah, so if you're going to be intimate in your vehicle, stay away from the gear shifter. And I didn't think it would be that easy to shift a gear when it's in park. I wonder if it had like a normal gear shifter or one of those knob gear shifters. I hate the knob gear shifters or the buttons. I hate that too. So now I need to know what kind of shifter it had. But anyway, that is all I have for today. I hope everybody has a beautiful day, and yeah, I just hope everybody has a beautiful day. Stay safe out there, guys. I love you all, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.